Hi, I'm Jordan Nelson. I'm with Nasco. I am the Customer Engagement Manager. And Nasco works with educators to build resources free. And that's why I wanted to be presenting to you today one of our free lesson plans, Design and Engineering, Make Chores Easier for grades K to 4. This STEAM lesson is great to use at home. You can use it virtually. There's a lot of different engaging activities. There's an introduction, 3 activities, and then you have different objectives with all the different activities. And I'm going to kind of go over each of those. So in the very beginning, in the introduction, what the students are going to be doing is a KWL chart. What this stands for is what I know. So the students are going to figure out what they know, what I would like to know, and what I have learned. Okay, so that's what a KWL chart is, and it's really a way to be able to show what the students have already know before they actually engage in the lesson. And the reason why that's important is because by the end, we're going to revisit this chart, and they're going to add to it and what I've learned. So at the end result, you can show, hey, this is what they used to know or what they thought they knew, and then what they've learned throughout this whole process. So it's a good way to kind of keep track of the students' progression and how they learn. So in the beginning, we want to create this KWL chart, and the purpose of this is to focus on the word engineer. So what do they know about an engineer, right? And the different examples. So if they haven't heard the word before, that's okay. Or you might have some suggestions for your child as saying, hey, did you know this person was an engineer? Or mom or dad, or a relative. What do you think about that? So it starts to get them to really think about the word engineer first. And after you build maybe what they know or what I wonder about them, we're going to start getting into the W part of it, the what I wonder. And we're going to use a book called Rosie Revere Engineer. Now, if you have the book, great, use that at home. And what you're going to do is flip through the pages and just like have your child look at the different images and start to think about what I want to know about an engineer. This Rosie Revere character that's within this book. Now, if you don't have the book, that's okay. There's actually a video link right on the lesson, and that can be shared to you probably via your educator, or you can go right to our Nasco Educate Resource Center and get our lesson plan for that link too as well. And then all you have to do is mute the video and then slowly scroll through the video to be able to show the different pages and kind of get them, again, thinking about what does it mean to be an engineer. And then after they get the what they know part, so the K part's first, W part is with the book, look at the images, and what I've learned is after the fact, after they actually read or hear the book read to them. So it's a great way to get them to actually start thinking about engineering. The next activity is starting to think about the different chores, okay? And the reason why we want to think about chores is because we now started to talk about engineer. Now we're starting to talk about chores and the engineering behind chores and the reason why we do those things. So the students are going to brainstorm actually together as a class of all the different chores that they might do, whether it's making the bed, helping out with dishes, picking up their room. There's a lot of different chores that they have and create a full list. And then they're going to revisit that list and say, okay, what are the chores that I dislike the most, right? Because there's some of those chores that you're like, ugh, I don't want to do that anymore. And the students and your children all have those kind of cases. So from the first activity that they're going to do is going to build a story around that chore they least like. So they're going to create an image of the chore. My case is I don't like to pick up my room. And then so they have that, and they're going to give a little reason why. So this activity 3 is for different, so don't ignore that for a little bit. But they're going to explain the reasons why they don't have it. For younger students, you want to have a sentence starter, right? I dislike blank the most because blank, right? Whereas the grades 2 to 4, they might have a story that has a title of this is the chore and give 2 to 3 reasons why they dislike the chore. So it is scalable up or down, depending on what they have. What I've written here is, oh, I dislike cleaning my room. It's not fun and I can think of better things to do. I wish I could create an invention to clean up my mess. So that's a great way to have them brainstorm, a little literacy involved with that. And then from there, all the students are going to eventually vote on what are the chores they dislike the most. and they're going to build a bar graph, right? And so they have 0 on there just in case some students don't have dislikes for a certain one, or there's one that they didn't vote for. But then they create a collaborative bar graph, and the nice thing is these 2 different worksheets are also digital. So if you needed to submit them to the teacher, they are via Google Docs. So a great way to work at home and or submit it for education purposes. Then you step into activity 2, and activity 2 has 3 different steps. The first step is inventing something to solve a problem, right? In this case, we want to solve the problem by actually accomplishing a chore, right? So they're going to focus on the one chore they dislike the most and start thinking about the invention, right? And then they're going to plan how they're going to solve that chore. And that's the step 2, all right? So the step 1 is first thinking of a problem to solve, which is the chore they dislike the most. Step 2 is planning how am I going to solve this chore. And then the step 3 is actually building this chore. So I have an array of miscellaneous supplies in front of me right now. You see some glue, sticks, colored matchsticks, paper clips, and you can use materials like this at your house, right? So if you have recycled goods, bottle caps, whether plastic, cardboard, whatever else that you have at your disposal. I've used twist ties to hold things maybe instead of glue, or if you have Velcro, or maybe use shoelaces from your shoe, you pull that off and then you can use that temporarily. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually use the materials at home to be able to utilize to build your invention to be able to solve your chore. So that's step 3. And then at the very end, what your child's going to be doing is creating a poem. That's what you saw on my art page right there. So at the very bottom, they're going to create something called an AABB rhyme. And that means the last word in the first 2 sentences are going to rhyme, and the last word in the 3rd and 4th sentence are going to rhyme. So for my poem, and this is the example given here within the lesson, is picking up toys is my least favorite chore. I always find it to be such a bore. I use different tools to make a device. Spending time doing other things is so much more nice. So again, that's a nice extension activity that you can do with there. If you need some help with rhymes, you can give them some words that are ready that rhyme that they can help out with them. So whether a chore, bore, the device, nice, due to. There's a lot of different ways you can actually incorporate it with the younger students, and then you can scale up to the 4th grade as well. So I hope you enjoy this lesson. Have fun doing it. If you have any questions about it, you can reach out to me personally at jnelson@nascoeducation.com. You can also reach out to our social media channels and just share some of the projects you've done. We love hearing from parents and educators, and we love sharing with other parents and educators as well. There's a lot of things you can do with it, and I hope you enjoy this lesson.